It was the first day of the Adventure Bike Rider Festival, one of my favourite events of the year. A place where over 10,000 bikers gathered together to ride all day and party by night. However, for this little sprocket, the festival was going to be so much more than that. Not only was I giving a talk on stage this year, but also with my newfound confidence, I was determined that this year would finally be the year I'd attempt the expert trail. Of course, not without a hearty breakfast first.
Slushy me, good sir!
After breakfast, my first port of call for the event was to take my new motorbike on the trail. Now, for those who haven't tuned in for a while, I recently purchased a CB500X this month, and I was determined to take him on some trails. My only issue is that I hadn't got around to fitting off-road tyres yet.
I was just like, first things first, let's try and take my brand new bike off-road. Oh, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be fine. What's the worst that could happen?
Hey guys, once you do that, take it nice and easy. The grass is soft and wet, it's very, very slippy. Okay, you've got road tyres like this. Okay, I recognise that there.
Hi!
Stick to the beginner's work for the main track. Anything harder on road tyres, you're going to struggle with. Make sense?
Don't go through the gate.
Don't go through the gate.
Okay.
Beginner's link, if you're not sure, the beginner's link to start off with.
Nah, be fine. I may be a beginner, but I'm a reckless beginner. There's so many gates. How do I know which is the one I'm not supposed to go through? Is that right?
Now, at this point in the journey, I had no idea if I had gone the right way or the wrong way, because there were so many gates that I had gone through up until this point that I had no idea where I was. However, I decided to continue, hoping that it might get a little less muddy and easier from here on in. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it did not get easier, it only got a million times worse.
happen to know where there's a main road, do you?
Yeah, go back down the hill.
Right.
Sorry, the road or the track you're supposed to be on?
No, I can't get through that mud.
Right, yeah, back down there and then as best you can, because see the copse there?
Yeah.
That is the road that you're going to get onto. It's usually locked. You can come back on the road.
Oh, yes. Okay. Let me just try and turn this bike around. Ooh. Brilliant. They did tell me not to take road tyres on there, but I did it anyway. Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Straight down there, you go off the main road.
All right, cheers. Thank you.
After finally managing to abscond from the track without breaking my leg, I decided it was probably time to head back to the festival and look for a more suitable vehicle. However, the only issue that I faced next was, well, I didn't really know where I was and I didn't really know how to get back. And so I did take a little bit of time trying to find the festival, and then a little bit more time trying to find the festival. But I did eventually get there in the end. Now, fortunately for me folks, just as I happened to roll up back to the festival, I did happen to run into the media team about to head out in a buggy.
Right, where can I sit that doesn't damage your drone? Oh, mate, where are we heading?
We're doing the off-road course.
Oh, yes. All right, okay. Are we supposed to wear, like, helmets or something? Alright, right.
Or at least I'd hoped they were the media team. I didn't actually know, but I figured what the heck, and I jumped in the buggy anyway. Now, whenever you scroll through adverts online about the festival, you're always visually littered with the most artistic and beautiful cinematic shots imaginable. But I never really considered what goes on behind the scenes in order to get those shots, and a lot of the time it does consist of hanging around a field repeating the same flight patterns over and over. And well, the rest of the time it kind of consists of, well, this.
Have you seen that?
Oh, nice. Okay. Right, let's have a look.
Now, I had had so much fun riding around in the buggy on the field that the first thing that I did when I got back to the festival was try and find a way to do it again.
Right, I think we are good to go. If we are, yes, okay, good to go. Ooh. I have like mud all over my face.
All my customers have a roll of a time.
Now, by this point in the day, I was running out of time, and the only thing really left to do was to have lunch and eventually head to sleep, ready to give my talk in the morning on stage. Of course, how could I expect to talk to anyone without first having some breakfast donuts?
I mean, I guess where would you like me to start? I can talk.
What do you need to start?
Oh, I mean,
What did you
social
have when
media
you
is one of
first
those
started?
things where it's so vast and so big, and you could talk about it for days on end and never even touch the surface. And one of the most common things I've heard is that I wish I could do that, and I wish I had that skill, which is always a very interesting thing, because when you speak to a lot of YouTubers, none of them ever remember having those skills to start off with. But that's how everyone starts off. Nobody starts off being good at anything. We all start off being rubbish at things. That's just the natural progression of skills. And I think a lot of the time when you're wanting to start, you just need to accept that you're not going to be perfect straight off the bat. So, and I think that's, one of the main things is that if you are sat there and you are thinking, I'd love to be able to do that, but I don't have the skills, I don't have the, even like the know-how, no one does. You just have to keep going and just trust the process and trust that you do get better. I think as well, something that's probably worth saying is, it depends on how we're going to be measuring success. And it's just like, is your end goal to be a giant YouTuber, or is your end goal to kind of enjoy yourself and have fun? Because when I started producing videos, as you guys probably know, I have a terrible memory. And the reason I started to produce videos was more for myself, because I could watch these back and, laugh at myself and said, and I never thought about making them for other people. I very much made them for myself, and I thought, if I ever have grandkids, this is something I can subject them to. And that's how it started. And at no point, I know I say this quite frequently, I've never intended for YouTube to be a full-time job. I have no intention of it ever becoming a full-time job. And my measurement of success isn't the growth of the channel. It's not how much money I make, how big I get. It's always been about a work-life balance. And I think it's very easy when it comes to social media to kind of enter the door, look around and be like, wow, look at all these really famous people, I want to be like that. And but do you? The amount of effort you put into it, it's a really hard game. It's a lot of hard work, guys. And if that's what you really, really want, keep going at it and you will get there. But think about whether it is something you really want. Because for me, having a work-life balance and enjoying my hobby in a way that I can share it with other people, that for me is my measurement of success.
Now, I'm going to be real with you, and this is probably a little bit sad, but there's a huge disconnect between the content that I produce and the consequences of that content. And after seeing my name on a poster after giving a talk on stage, I felt so incredibly excited that, well, it just had to come home with me.
Hello. I'm fascinated with the fact that you are maintaining your woolly hat, especially early when it's really hot. I'm like, wow.
It's in stealth mode, mate, stealth mode.
I'm going to say I think you got away with it.
No.
Finish.
Am I fine? I'm stuck as rocket, don't you know? I never steal.
Permanently borrowed. Well, did you borrow that?
It's for the environment.
I eventually headed back to my tent that evening, ready for another day of mischief, whilst wondering how I'd fit a giant cardboard sign on my bike when I head home.
This one was completely my fault.